Okay, everybody, cue spoon and music in 3, 2, 1.
Welcome back, everybody, to the SpewnedIt Podcast. We are so glad to have you here. And my name is Jensen Anderson. This is my great friend, Joel Brown. Let's get right into it. First of all, I would like to address I do have a cold today.
Yes, I wanted that to happen. I'm so glad that happened. I'm so glad. I'm sorry, Jens. I know that was kind of mean, but I'm so glad. Sorry, keep going.
You chav. Yeah, I do have a bit of a cold today, so bear with me. The first thing I wanted to say was I am wearing my Chelsea Blues uniform. It's in neon green, but I want to say big congratulations to you and your squad winning the Champions Cup. That is an absolutely huge accomplishment. So happy.
I tell you what, I actually meant to do that. I had this whole idea of wearing my Chelsea shirt. I'll get it out at some point. I'll run off and grab it. But yeah, such a huge win. Jens, like a true mate, texted me on the night saying, "Go the Blues," and I was like, yeah, he's a good guy. He is a good guy. Massive win for Chelsea, winning the Champions League. I was so proud of the boys. I'm so proud of the boys. We're not here to talk about that though, because Jens, what I want to pose for us today is. And I mean, I tell you what, like I've thought about this a lot, just in general, really. But what I want us to have a bit of a discussion about today is the differences between living abroad and traveling abroad, right? And, you know, traveling for however long of a period of time that might be, even if it is something like a year. Okay, I fully believe there's a massive difference between that year and growing up and living there for a significant period of time. Now, just straight off the bat, so I was living in Uganda for just about 12 years, and it was basically 12 full years. I was six, just about to turn 7 when we got there, and I just turned 18 by the time I was leaving. So I was there for about 12 years. Obviously, my family and I, we came back every 2 years for summer, which was around 2 months. So basically, 12 years of my life. Gents, just so that we've got an idea, how long were you living in Uganda for, from like start to finish?
For sure. So we moved there in October, at the very end of October 2008. And then we moved back permanently in early December 2015. So about 7 years. We came back twice for extended periods of time from the time we moved to the time we moved back. One of them was like 14 months, and one of them was about 3 or 4, I think. So, yeah, from the time we moved there to the time we moved back, a little over 7 years. I was about to turn 11 when we moved there, and I believe I turned 18 a few weeks after we got back. So,
yeah. Basically, very significant periods of our life growing up, right? And obviously we've been incredibly fortunate, incredibly blessed, I think, gents. You know, I don't want to take words out of your mouth here, but I personally am so grateful for that time that I had, and I think gents would say the exact same thing as myself when asked with that question. And so the first thing that I want to bring towards the table with this, gents, and I want us to bounce off a little bit here, is the fact that your mindset changes so much, right? Now, living in a different country that, you know, may or may not be less developed than the one you were born in, it changes the way that I have looked on my life, just in general, in so many little different aspects that I still am picking up on. It's changed. Living in Uganda for 12 years has changed my mindset to a massive degree. Now, while I'll admit, while you may get a taste of this when you're traveling to that particular country in question, there's in reality there's no comparison, right? There is no comparison to the good that it does and that it has done for my mindset, in terms of how grateful I am, in terms of how like open-minded I've been, you know, molded into. By living in Uganda, it has just changed the person that I am. And like I said before, I'm so grateful for having that opportunity, just because, like, I don't know, I mean, I can't even imagine myself looking at myself having not gone through that period of time in my life. I don't know what you think about this, Jen.
Yeah, absolutely. So like you said about the mindset, I think in my experience, there's kind of a switch that happens when you're traveling, in particular when I've been traveling a few different times where you're doing some kind of mission work, like a short-term mission, and you're helping out over a week or some short period of time. And there's kind of in that week when you're there, there's kind of an all-in mentality over the short term, and then you come back home and you're exhausted, and it's like, whew, I left it all on the field, right? But when you're living somewhere abroad, and in particular, where we lived in a ministry, so the idea was, generally speaking, we were there to come alongside people and help them and just kind of see what God had for us in that time, and just trying to figure out what we were supposed to be doing. There's an idea of a mission, right? But when you're there and you're living there, for you 12 years, for me 7, you can't do the all-in mentality that you can over a short period of time. And that happens a lot, where people will burn out over 2 or 3 years of just going all in and not being able to relax or have any kind of time where they sit back and unwind. And so we focused on that, actually, as as a ministry. We would go on our retreats and whatnot, and I remember there was a decent amount of speaking on that particular point, just because it's a very difficult thing to do when you feel like you're there to help something or do for whatever purpose, and you, when you're not doing that, it's just like a guilt or some kind of thing. So it's a whole different mindset between a short term where you're just like, I'm here for 7 days, let's do what I can while I'm here, and then I'll go back home to my comfortable life or whatever. And there's a big difference between that and living somewhere and just becoming a part of the community and ministering that way.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I fully agree with what you said, Jens. I think the main thing out of that is that obviously you want to give 110% the whole time, and there's no doubt about that, because that's why you've gone out there. A lot of people, we've got a good heart. We're there to help. But it's funny that I feel that part of that process of giving everything, but then being able to relax and feel at home in Uganda, that was part of the process of having that just cemented in who I am today. And it's funny because I've always said to family members, everyone, that I will move back to Uganda, because that is where, like, in the pit of my stomach, I know that I feel more comfortable there, just in general. Like, my whole soul just relaxes more when I'm in Uganda. And half, I believe, because of that process, just of being able to sit back and be like, wow, I mean, one of the most gorgeous countries in the world. Look at this place. And it's just amazing how that helps with that whole process of just getting to where we are today, just with a mindset of like, you know what, it's so much bigger than that. Especially in the modern day, it's very easy to get like bogged down about what you do and don't have, and so many of the worries. But it is so important to be able to take a step back and just relax and appreciate the place that you are in. I mean, just a quick one, Jens, just on the side. Do you reckon that you would want to or will move back to Uganda at any point?
For me, I don't think I would move back there for any long period of time, personally. Yeah. There's people that I would love to go and visit, and there's, it's just, like you said, it's a beautiful country, so it'd be great to go see, Murchison Falls, or go on a safari, just be in the country again. Yeah. See some of the places we grew up. That'd be fun too, to see what it looks like now. I'm sure it's completely different. But for a long period of time, I don't think so. I would definitely go back to visit, and there's different people that I would love to see when they get married and whatnot, stuff like that. But as far as living there, for me, I don't think. But you never know. So
you never know. Yeah. I mean, actually, on that note, one thing I want to also bring to the table is, in terms of experiencing it in a completely different culture, for me, that is like, thinking back onto it now, being able to experience and live amongst a completely different way of life, as it would be in another country, is such a privilege to be able to have. And to be there and experience just the day-to-day life. And I think that's what it is, because when you're traveling, you've kind of got a mindset of, oh, right, well, I'm only here for a month, so there's like a constant plan. All right, what are we doing tomorrow? Where are we going for this period of time? No, which is fair enough, because you've only got a limited period of time there. But when you can fully just get involved with just the day to day of not having to think of like, right, well, you know, what's the next big thing that I'm doing here to experience the country? It's kind of like, well, I'm here. This is home. This is where I am at the moment. And that for me was massive, you know, and just all the different elements of the culture, you know, like what, you know, learning to speak the language, the food, especially the food was just a massive one for me, of something that I loved being able to experience and learn about. That for me was a massive thing in terms of just, again, getting to the point where I am today of being able to experience a completely different culture. I think that was huge, and it just has changed my mindset forever, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. When you were talking about that mindset of like staying or knowing that you're going to be there and be in that place, I very specifically remember as, you know, a 10-year-old kid moving there. We had a massive amount of boxes, you know, before we'd unpacked everything, just piled up in our living room. The house was just a one-story brick thing, and but, you know, obviously much smaller than our house here in America, and
it was totally different. A wicked house, though, to be fair. Like, your house was wicked. I was a big fan. That was great.
It was great, and my mom did a really great job of making that house a home for us. But there's two things that I very distinctly remember from that period. One was literally stepping off the plane. I just felt like a wave of heat and humidity hit me, and it was just like, whew, this is something. And then there's kind of, you know, that little transitionary period, and then you're in your house, and I think just one morning I woke up to the extremely loud crickets that would go on outside during the night, and kind of just like looked outside, and like there's just the jungle essentially, and I was just kind of like, okay, I'm here now, which was kind of, I mean, it's a big deal for a kid, you know.
Oh yeah,
for anyone really, but I think it's, like you said, it's a very formative experience and gives you a good perspective on like what's important, because in the Western culture, it's all about acquiring things or looking a certain way, having your, I don't know, shoes match your jersey, like whatever it is. There's a very big focus on that, and not to say that like they don't care about how they dress in Uganda or whatever, but the priority is more about building a relationship with people and stopping to have a chat with your neighbor on your way to the garden or whatever you're doing. That's much more of a importance to them than being on time, for example, was a fun one to deal with.
Uganda time, as they'd say.
Yeah.
No, but I couldn't agree more, man. And I think it's huge, and just living there and experiencing that, and being able to, you know, just take the bits of both cultures and both lifestyles that you like, and just go and, you know, just pick and choose the ones that you think, you know, this is the best way to just live. I think it's important to be able to do. And I think, I mean, at the end of the day, and I've barked on about this whole episode, but I'm incredibly grateful for the opportunity that I've had, and I think it is very important to just shape in a more well-rounded worldview, experience in another country. And, you know, obviously it's not something that everyone can do, and I do understand that, but I think what we're trying to do here is just, you know, shine a little spotlight into what effect it has. And, you know, by all means, this shouldn't stop you from traveling at all, because, like I said, that does give you a little taste. And I think that's the funny thing, is that that never would have been enough for me, ever. But yeah, I think it's just important. And obviously, on that note, please do let us know about, you know, like what your thoughts are about, you know, traveling abroad, experiencing culture, because we would love to hear from you. So please do chuck it in the comment section. Let us know how you feel. Let us know what you're thinking. You know, maybe if there's one specific place that you've really gone to, you were like, yo, guys, this was the bomb. I need to tell you about this. Let us know. We'd love to hear from you. For the moment, gents, I mean, I've checked my watch. Do you know what time it is?
Yeah, Joel, I think I do. And now it's time for Lights, Camera, Fiction with Wes Aronofsky and Frank Cohen. Welcome back to your favorite improvisational film, trailer, movie show. I, of course, am Wes Aronofsky, and this, of course, is my co-host, Frank Cohen.
Thank you so much, Wes. Now, for those of you out there who may be new to the program, this is where we are generated a list of random movie titles and must create a trailer for said random title, and it's all done off the cuff.
Indeed, Frank. And now let's see what our title is today.
In a world where the only thing you can buy food with is pine cones, the pine cone people have a problem.
They are too wealthy. Every pinecone person is living in a mansion, and they don't even have anything to spend their money on. Everyone else comes to them, giving them gifts in hopes of getting some pine cones in return.
However, there is one thing that the pinecone people love more than anything else, and this can be found across the mountains and under the bridge.
One final cache of Turkish delight sits under the bridge, guarded by the under the bridge people, and they have the true monopoly on happiness in the land.
So what will it be? Will the pinecone people wage war against the under the bridge people? But no, that would be ridiculous. For the under the bridge people have the upper hand.
Despite being under the bridge, they seem to have something on the upper. This is Currencies of the Forest. Where will your pinecone land? Darkness. When all that exists is darkness, where will you go when the void is a cheeky prankster?
The cheeky prankster, aka the Void. He is a fan of the darkness, because it's always easier to do a prank in the darkness, as I'm sure you have gathered. But what will his final prank be?
Jack Black, of course, stars as the titular black hole in Never Trust the Void. You never know what he's going to get up to next.
And that's because he does it in the dark. Not in a weird way, but he is just a very funny guy who does good pranks. So you best be prepared, because this movie is coming soon.
And it's coming to a nighttime showing near you.
Crossbow Without a Goal is the latest sci-fi action drama thriller romance comedy to hit your screens that will leave you wondering, where on earth did the title of this movie come from?
The crossbow without a goal. When everything seems aimless in life, how will he hit the apple off the head of the love of his heart?
Crossbow without a goal is like having bread without the baked beans on top. But so, how will this crossbow find its baked beans?
Winding up to a theater near you this Valentine's, Christmas, Thanksgiving Day.
You best believe that it's going to be a really sad, enjoyable thriller comedy movie, because that's what we're aiming for it to be. Coming soon to cinemas. I'm not sure what you're thinking about that, gents, but I actually have. I was speaking to Jack Black just the other day, and he actually gave me front row seats for Never Trust the Void. I don't know who to take. I mean, did you want one of the tickets?
I'd love to. I've heard it's just an entirely dark theater, and it's like an audio drama, but you have to go to the theater to experience it. It sounds, revolutionary. You want to go?
I'm very much up for that.
Now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Great.
All right.
I'm free.
Yeah, I'll see you in a few.
Yeah. Right, guys, that is all that we have time for this weekend. Just wanted to say, firstly, a massive thank you for helping us and supporting the podcast. Obviously, my name's Joel Brown. This is Jensen Anderson, my good mate. Please do like and subscribe to the channel. We are going to be dropping weekly videos that are we're having a great time with this, and we hope you are as well. But also, let us know about your traveling experiences, okay? We'd love to hear from you. Chuck it in the comment section below, and we will see you next week. For the moment, though, up the Chelsea. Big Champions League win. I'm so proud of the boys. I told you I'd get the shirt on. Come on, boys. We'll see you next week. Cheers.